Li Moying watched her, and the explosive thunder attributed profound energy seemed to have restrained a little, but he still remained silent and his expression sunken. Everyone's gazes were concentrated on both of them. Almost everyone was sweating profusely for her, as all of their hearts were filled with trepidation. Such a pretty and slender young lass, if she were to die in the hands of her own fiancé, that would really be a tragedy in real life. Murong Fei had long forgotten the pain on her body as a smile was seen on her twisted face. She could actually witness that little slut being killed by Li Moying personally. Such a scenario was something that would make her smile even in her dreams. Huang Yueli looked at Li Moying for a while and gently sighed as she continued to walk towards his direction. All of them held their breaths, feeling that at any moment now, Huang Yueli would be struck flying away. But even until Huang Yueli reached Li Moying, this scene did not materialize. While the crowd were rubbing their eyes and touching their chins, Huang Yueli suddenly came out with an action which shocked everyone. She suddenly tipped her toes and placed both her arms around Li Moying's neck, and putting strength into it, she dragged him towards her as her slender body pressed tightly against the man's robust chest, without leaving a single opening. Some of them couldn't help but gasped out loud. Because everyone could tell that Li Moying's body was surrounded by electric currents, which was an obvious sign of powerful thunder attribute profound energy around him. So no matter who went near him would be electrocuted to a crisp, not to mention going close to him at zero distance. Did this young lass find her life too long? Li Moying didn't actively attack her, whereas she herself went up to look for death. However, of course Huang Yueli didn't die. The electric currents on Li Moying was indeed terrifying, and this kind of ninth stage realm strong expert's powerful pressure almost made her collapse entirely. But just as she plastered herself onto Li Moying's body, the electric currents disappeared suddenly. When she hugged Li Moying, she totally didn't feel any pressure from the electricity, only feeling Li Moying's strong body and a pure man's power lying underneath it. Huang Yueli raised her head as her lips plastered against his tightly pursed lips. She stretched out her tongue and licked him lightly, and after caressing him several times, she tried to probe her tongue into his mouth. But out of her expectations, Li Moying totally refused to coordinate with her this time, as his lips remained pursed and his body totally not moving, as though he was not tempted by her seduction and influence. For a split moment, Huang Yueli had thought that she lost the ability to stop his illness from acting up. But with a change in thought, she felt something was amiss. If Li Moying really wasn't under her influence totally and being plastered by her in such a way, he would probably have exploded and she was now a dead corpse. How would she continue licking this man in this way? So this man was acting in an arrogantly pampered manner. Huang Yueli raised her head to look at his contoured yet strangely cold handsome features. Li Moying stared coldly into a distance away, not even casting a glance at her with his peripheral view, as though he didn't care about her. But his tightly clenched fists revealed the struggle within him. Huang Yueli was melancholic because he had really not seen such a petty man before. At this juncture where he had lost his senses and didn't recognize anyone, but he still remembered the fact that he was still in a quarrel with her. You can also listen on. What kind of rare oddball was this? But moments later, she was appeased. Because for Li Moying to act in this way, it represented that she held an irreplaceable existence in his heart. Even though he had lost his memory or even lost his senses, even though he didn't recognize anyone and attacked anyone without any difference. But in his heart, she still held that special existence in it. So special that, even if it was a small matter which concerned her, it became an obsessiveness in his heart. Huang Yueli sighed gently and increased her strength as she hugged him rightly, placing her lips onto his as she muttered, "Moying, are you still unhappy? Don't tell me you don't want me, and don't like me anymore. Are you going to abandon me?" Li Moying's body jolted but immediately resumed its immobile state. Huang Yueli said again, "If you're not angry then I'm going to kiss you now." You must kiss me back all right. Li Moying still didn't have any expression nor did he say a word. But Huang Yueli seemed as though nothing had happened as she leaned nearer to him, placing her soft ruby-red lips onto his. This time, at the moment when their lips touched, Huang Yueli felt a scorching warm weak and numbness. Li Moying had immediately taken control, viciously kissing her. This kiss was exactly the same as previous times when Li Moying's illness acted up. Not only was it intense, it bore a near-desperate passion which was enough to make one's soul incinerate. Huang Yueli obediently raised her little chin, allowing him to kiss her in any way he wanted recklessly. Li Moying was kissing her when he got extremely excited and his firm and muscular arms tightly locked her slender waist, bringing that delicate and soft body into his embrace entirely. Gradually, Li Moying's kiss started to slow down its anxious pace and slowly became gentle and longing. This kind of intimateness made Huang Yueli even more drunk, and this made her feel that the arguments and gaps between the both of them for the past few days had slowly disappeared in this kiss. After some time later, Huang Yueli felt that the man's body which was hugging her had slowly relaxed and the action of kissing had also slowly stopped. She hurriedly stretched out her hand to hug him tightly. Indeed, the next moment, Li Moying was totally depleted of his energy as he fainted into her arms. Huang Yueli's figure was petite and carrying a tall man like Li Moying naturally wasn't convenient at all. She turned her head around wanting to find someone from Celestial Light sect to help her, but instead she met with pairs of shocked and dazed eyes. Almost everyone used an expression which seemed as though they had just seen a ghost as they watched her intently, totally unaware that she needed help. Huang Yueli was extremely speechless. She knew that it was indeed a shocking matter for her to be able to settle Li Moying, who was in a rage, but surely not all of them needed to put on this look, right? People like Sect Master Murong and the few elders, they were 9th stage realm practitioners, so by right they should have at least seen this kind of thing before. Why were they all so shocked that they've turned silly? Luckily, Luo Jiyun had long predicted that this scenario would happen. He hurriedly ran up and said, "Sister-in-law, let me help you carry eldest senior brother back." The minute Huang Yueli saw him, she gave a smile. "So it's 5th junior brother, long time no see." Luo Jiyun was piggybacking Li Moying on his back, and at the same time he was saying, "Actually, since sister-in-law have come to Celestial Light sect, I should visit you and pay my respects, but I was out for experience training and have just returned a couple of days. Eldest senior brother says you were in closed-door cultivation these days, so he asked me to drop by a few days later instead. You can also listen on." Huang Yueli replied, "No wonder." At the same time, she quickly realized that Li Moying had intentionally not allowed Luo Jiyun to come over to look for her. He probably didn't want Luo Jiyun to tell that they were quarreling. Huang Yueli naturally wouldn't expose her own fiancé in front of outsiders, so she immediately added on, "That's right, I've been refining armaments for the past few days. Otherwise we would have invited you over for dinner." Hearing that, Luo Jiyun immediately revealed an excited expression. "Sister-in-law, you're refining armaments again. What good things are you refining? Can I take a look?" He was very clear on Huang Yueli's armament refining standard. Previously in Dark Moon Forest, Huang Yueli had once gifted him with various profound armaments, and later on, she even refined the profound lunar spirit mirror directly on the spot, so since then on, Luo Jiyun totally admired her from the bottom of his heart. Huang Yueli was thankful to him for speaking up for her in front of Sect Master Murong and the elders and immediately agreed to it. The two of them chatted while passing by the crowd. Those crowded around them had not reacted in time, and they were still immersed in that scene till the moment when they were about to leave the array's boundary did Murong finally regain his senses. He cried out loudly, "Wait a minute, Jiyun, and that." Huang Yueli's footsteps halted and she slowly turned around to face Murong. "I am Bai Ruoli." Murong hurriedly said, "Right, Miss Bai." "Miss Bai, earlier how were you able to, control Li Moying?" Usually whenever his illness acts up, so many ninth stage realm practitioners like us may not be able to make him calm down. And his current condition now, you sure he's alright? Huang Yueli said, to be honest, I also don't know why I can placate him, but previous few times I've succeeded. As for his current situation, resting for a couple of days and he should be alright. Murong heaved a sigh of relief. Oh, that's great, that's great. Now that the people from West Sky region were coming, the last time they had a tournament, Li Moying was totally in the limelight as he suppressed every single person there. So if he were to lose his battle power because of his illness, then Celestial Light Sect would have their reputation down in the dumps. Huang Yueli could tell that his expression wasn't quite right, but she couldn't be bothered to ask too much. Just as she was prepared to leave, she heard an intermittent rant, by Ruoli. This slut, you harmed me so terribly. Those present heard her cursing and turned towards her direction as they saw Murong Fei holding up her body, which had been struck badly by electrical currents, shedding a disheveled look with messy hair as her eyes opened wide like full moons, staring furiously at Huang Yueli. When Murong saw his daughter bearing such a sorrowful look, he couldn't help but frown. Huang Yueli saw that and sneered coldly in his heart as she put on an embarrassed look, speaking in a soft voice, Miss Murong, really sorry. I was in a hurry to save him earlier and hadn't noticed that you were following right behind me. I'd not expected you to be so unlucky. Oh, this is all my fault. I ask for your forgiveness if there's any ways which I had offended you. Murong originally felt a little angry, feeling that Huang Yueli definitely had something to do with his daughter turning out in this state, and he was already planning to make things difficult for her. Who knew that Huang Yueli would come out with these words? In actual fact, those with eyes were able to tell that it was Murong Fei herself who challenged Huang Yueli first, and that caused her to be beaten up by Huang Yueli instead. You can also listen on. Furthermore, when she ran over to the Thunder region, she didn't insisted on dragging Murong Fei along, right? It was she herself who insisted on tagging along, which was why she had been struck by lightning. So how could she blame Huang Yueli for causing harm to her? Moreover speaking, Huang Yueli risked her life to enter that place wasn't for fun, but was in a hurry to save someone. Fact had proven that she indeed had the ability to save Li Moying. Then why did Murong Fei still did that? Fighting for affection, creating trouble, not understanding the severity of the whole scenario. If Huang Yueli were really beaten flat by her, then Li Moying would really be a goner. Everyone were breaking out into cold sweat for her, feeling that it was just too dangerous earlier. Murong Fei really didn't ignore the general interest. Generally speaking, the person who should be angry isn't Murong Fei but Huang Yueli instead. But not only did Huang Yueli not blame her, instead she even placed all the wrongdoings onto her own self and automatically apologized to Murong Fei. In comparison, it showed how magnanimous she was, whereas Murong Fei was seen to be arrogant and selfish. In a second, everyone's gaze towards Murong Fei changed as they bore a taste of criticism towards her. Even Murong was feeling ashamed because of his earlier thinking. This young lass, she indeed was the fiancée whom Li Moying chose personally. She knew exactly how to behave properly, and she was big-hearted. It was obviously his daughter's fault, but she was still willing to magnanimously admit the wrongdoing. This kind of lady was really one of a kind. As he was feeling ashamed, he naturally wouldn't find trouble for Huang Yueli and only replied, "How can we blame you for this? Luckily you came in time and your response is swift, otherwise if something really happened to Moying, it will be too late for regrets. Feier is injured because of her own carelessness, so we cannot blame you for it." When Murong Fei heard her own father saying that, she was so infuriated that she almost fainted once again. Huang Yueli gave a calm smile. "This is what I should do. You'd better hurry and get a good doctor to do consultation for eldest Miss Murong. Earlier I saw her falling onto the ground. She crashed head first, so I hope nothing happens to her during that fall. You're really considerate. Muronde felt that she was meticulous and was so considerate. It was no wonder that Li Moying took an interest in her, and as compared to his own daughter, other than innate talent and beauty, what else did she had? This temper of hers really made one unable to sing her praises. Murong Fei was so infuriated that she almost threw up blood again, because wasn't this cursing her to be brain dead? But too bad her father couldn't tell her sarcasm and even thought that this little slut was a good person. Huang Yueli smiled. Since there's nothing else, then I'll bring Moying back now. What he needs most now is rest. Good, good, hurry on and go back. Don't let him be too tired these few days. Huang Yueli nodded as she gracefully nodded towards Murongde and the other elders, then leaving with Luo Jiyun. The minute she left, the elders gave her departing silhouette an approving look, as all of them were full of praises for her. No wonder young sect master likes her so much, there indeed was a reason to it, eh? Isn't that so? In the past I'd only heard rumors and only know that her innate talent is very ordinary and her background isn't very good. But I'd not expected that seeing her in person was so out of the ordinary. Her innate talent is ordinary. That's as compared to young sect master, right? At her age, to reach 4th stage realm and living the small country at the borders without much resources, this innate talent is at least 7th grade upper level and above. Perhaps she might even be an 8th grade talent. You can also listen on. 8th grade talent. Then isn't she the same as eldest young miss? So that's why her innate talent is not bad and she's so enchanting, plus the fact that she is so magnanimous and humble. There's nothing strange about young sect master choosing her at all. Hearing the crowd's discussions, Murong Fei gnashed her teeth so hard that she almost broke them. That wretched lass was actually said to be magnanimous and humble. What was the matter with them? The most crafty, sinister woman on this earth was her. She was merely putting on an act in front of these elders. Those elders, including her father, were they all blind? They actually couldn't tell the real face of that wretched lass. Just as Murong Fei almost fainted from anger, suddenly a cold and mellow make voice rang above her head. Eldest senior brother's young fiancé. Isn't simple at all. No wonder you're not her match at all. This voice sounded familiar, so when Murong Fei heard that, her heart quivered slightly as she raised her head. Li Lingchuan was just standing beside her with an unfathomable look, and on seeing her, he gave a cold, sinister smile. You're finding it strange on why my thinking is different from the elders. Third junior sister, I've already encountered this lass's power beforehand, so naturally I'm not bewitched by her. Forgive me for being straightforward, but with your plans, it won't be easy for you to defeat her. Murong Fei clenched her teeth. What do you mean by that? I know she is very scheming, but I might not lose to her. Li Lingchuan lowered his head as he helped her wipe the dirt off her face and smiled. Third junior sister, you've misunderstood my meaning. I just wanted to say that your background is so elegant and you're such a kind young lady who only thinks of cultivating. How could you possibly win a scheming wild lass like her, who grew up from that kind of small place? People all love to hear nice things, and especially for a rare handsome guy like Li Lingchuan to say such things to comfort her while she was feeling unbearable made Murong Fei felt much better. She felt touched as she said, second senior brother, you're the one who understands me even more. Li Lingchuan stared at her for a moment before sighing gently. You finally realized that second senior brother treats you well. I thought that you only had eldest senior brother in your eyes and will never realize that there are others who will be worried for you. Murong Fei was stunned as she apparently looked towards Li Lingchuan in a flustered manner. Li Lingchuan was interested in her, so she naturally knew about it. But she always had doubts over how much sincerity he had towards her. After all, marrying her would result in a huge possibility to become the future sect master of Celestial Light Sect. Li Lingchuan's innate talent could not surpass Li Moying's, so he required the sect master's daughter as a heavyweight chip to add points for himself. But not caring if he was genuine or was faking it, now that Murong Fei had been rejected by Li Moying and after she was tortured to such an extent by Huang Yueli, hearing his words was enough to make Murong Fei felt touched. At least, someone else liked her. Second senior brother, Murong Fei's eyes turned wet. Li Lingchuan hurriedly said, "Third junior sister, please don't cry, is your wound hurting again? I'd better hurry and send you back. Hurry, get a doctor to come over to take a look, otherwise if you don't treat your internal injury properly, it will affect your future cultivation." Saying that, he carried Murong Fei like a princess as he sent her back personally. Murong Fei immediately went teary-eyes, "Thank you, second senior brother. You can also listen on." Li Lingchuan smiled and said, "What's there to thank me for? We're senior and junior brothers and sisters, so it's my duty to take care of you." Murong Fei only cared about being touched and had not noticed a cold glint flashing past Li Lingchuan's eyes. He already found Li Moying's fatal spot, and that was his fiancée. From today's situation, if that young lass died, it was an absolutely fatal strike to Li Moying. Only thing was that although the young lass's cultivation wasn't high, but she had always been under the tight protection of Li Moying, so if he wanted to deal with her, it wasn't any simpler than dealing with Li Moying. So at this point of time, he needed an ally whom he could use. Murong Fei was naturally the most suitable candidate. Both of them had the same enemy, so they would definitely be able to kill that young lass. By that time, Li Moying would be so heartbroken, and if a little accident were to happen, Murong Fei could only fall into his embrace, so Celestial Light sect would naturally become his. On the other hand, after Luo Jiyun followed Huang Yueli to Li Moying's courtyard, his eyes had been drifting meaningfully towards her armament refining room, but he didn't open his mouth. Huang Yueli understood what he was thinking about. This young man obviously took an interest in the profound armaments which she had refined. Luo Jiyun was Li Moying's favorite junior brother, so naturally he was the same as her own brother. Huang Yueli herself didn't mind gifting him a few pieces of profound armament. But now was not the right time. Li Moying was still unconscious, and all she had on her mind was to take care of him, with no mood to do any other things at all. She only said, "Junior brother Luo, the night is not young anymore. Your eldest senior brother and I are going to rest. Today I must thank you, and if you don't mind, please come over for dinner tomorrow." When Luo Jiyun heard that, he hurriedly replied, "I'm so sorry, sister-in-law. I shall not disturb you from resting anymore, I'll make a move now." After sending Luo Jiyun off, Huang Yueli returned to the bedroom and looked at Li Moying's pale handsome face, as she couldn't help but sighed gently. She wondered what was it that made Li Moying's illness suddenly acted up. Could it be that it was related to their quarrel yesterday? The more Huang Yueli thought, the more possibilities she felt. After all, today was not full moon's night, and Li Moying's condition recently had been stable, not like his illness would suddenly act up. Thinking up to this point, she couldn't help but felt guilty as she regretted a little in insisting for him to see Lu Baiyan. Sigh, forget it, since you're so insistent. I have no other way as well. Hurry up and wake up, I won't force you to do anything anymore. Unknowingly, she fell asleep as she leaned against the side of the bed. But as her heart was still hanging on to Li Moying's condition, so she woke up abruptly. The minute her eyes opened, she felt something was amiss, and the minute she regained her consciousness, she discovered that Li Moying had already regained his consciousness and was staring intently at her. Amidst the first sun rays in the morning, his arm was propping up her head as he sat up halfway, his gaze deep and serene. You're awake. Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere?" Huang Yueli asked, and at the same time stretched out her hand as she wanted to touch his forehead. But her hand, which was outstretched halfway, was stopped by Li Moying. He held on to her hand and placed it on his chest, asking in a mellow voice, "Yesterday. Had my illness acted up again? You're the one who saved me." Huang Yueli was stunned. "That's right, yesterday Moer returned heavily injured, saying that your illness suddenly acted up, asking me to go over and save you immediately. You can also listen on." Speaking of this, she seemed to have thought of something as she started to frown. "That's right, what happened to you yesterday? Why did your illness suddenly act up? Moreover, your shadow guards were all injured. The minute Moer came to me, he fainted. So, what's going on? Don't tell me you were sneak attacked by someone." Li Moying went silent for a moment. "Nothing happened. I was feeling down and perhaps I thought too much, so my illness suddenly acted up. Moer they all were all injured by me because they didn't manage to evade in time." He decided not to tell Huang Yueli the exact scenario at that time. On one hand, it was because he was defeated by Lu Baiyan, and to an arrogant man like him, it was an extremely embarrassing matter. On the other hand, since Lu Baiyan secretly admired his Lear, so he must absolutely reduce the chances of their interaction. When Huang Yueli heard that, she didn't quite believe him. Surely not right. "Somehow I feel that Moer's injuries aren't caused by the thunder attributed profound energy, you might have seen wrongly. Moreover, I don't only have thunder attribute, my thunder attribute innate talent is merely stronger than the others." Seeing Huang Yueli's head tilt to one side and giving out a puzzled look, Li Moying was worried that she might think too much and realized the suspicious points in between, hence he hurriedly tried to change a topic. "That's right, when my illness acted up, there were some scenes which flashed past my eyes. I feel that I seem to have recalled some things from my past life." Huang Yueli was stunned for a moment before she gave an overjoyed look. "Really? What have you recalled?" Li Moying said, "Actually I can only remember fragments of it. Like the first time we met, and the adventures when we went to explore those ancient mystic regions." Huang Yueli laughed when she heard that. "Really? You recalled the first time we met? Then do you still remember that you were acting like a ruffian that time and forcefully kissed me? I developed a heart to murder you at that time. How could you act in that way?" Li Moying recalled the past. The first time the both of them were engaged in a close distance, Huang Yueli was also around this age, 14 to 15 years old, and like a flower with blossoming petals, delicate and charming with an immature look which still hung on their faces. In a blink of an eye, it had been a long, long time ago. In the past, he felt that there wasn't anything good about his past life's memories, and even if he did recall anything about it, it probably wasn't some beautiful memories. But now he changed his train of thoughts. Every single moment with Lear were extremely valuable and precious memories, so how could he forget about it? He smiled and said, "It was indeed my fault at that time, but then, I was a little too young and rash. Originally I intended to just greet you, but I'd not expect that not only did you ignore me, you actually thought that I was there to snatch your treasure and just attacked me without any warning. If it wasn't for the fact that my cultivation wasn't too bad, I'd probably be seriously injured by you then. A young lass like you was simply too vicious." When Li Moying recalled the scenario then, he couldn't help but laugh. The Huang Yueli then was indeed different from this lifetime. At that time, she had not suffered any setbacks and had always been the idol in everyone's eyes, so she was pretty arrogant. Huang Yueli also recalled the same moment as her lips twitched. "Oh please, you suddenly came over at that time. If it wasn't to snatch my treasure, then what were you there for? Wouldn't anyone just avoid that scene normally? You actually still dare to say that to me? You can also listen on." Li Moying tried to make himself seem extremely innocent as he said, "How would I know you would think so much? Every time I saw you, my senses goes awry. You don't know that I've been secretly admiring you for a long time." Huang Yueli was stunned as her eyes grew wide. "You secretly admire me? How was that possible?" That day was the first time we met. Li Moying stroked his chin as he gave a mysterious smile. That's your first time meeting me, but that doesn't equate to my first time meeting you. You don't know how long I've been spying on you for. Plus the fact that you were so cute that day. I just couldn't control myself. Huang Yueli's mind turned blank for a moment and very quickly, 2 shades of red appeared on the sides of her cheeks. I won't listen to your rubbish. Anyway, you forcefully kissed me the very first time we met, that's simply too much. That made me felt that you're a scoundrel who goes around flirting with other girls. Li Moying laughed uncontrollably. I only want to flirt around with you, so how is it possible for me to go around harassing other girls? But if I had known that that moment of rashness would cause so much misunderstandings about me, then I probably wouldn't be so rash. At the very least, I'd endure till our second meeting before I kiss you. He lowered his tone as his eyes dimmed slightly, intentionally speaking in an ambiguous manner. Huang Yueli was so upset that she almost fell down from the bed and stared at him angrily. You still think you are logical. Anyway, from what I see, you're not a good person. She pushed Li Moying, and originally she thought this man would definitely not feel any pain or itchiness, but who knew that Li Moying actually followed her push and fell down from the bed. She blinked and recalled that Li Moying's illness just acted up yesterday, so today he should be in extremely weak condition. Probably he couldn't take her kind of a trample. She hurriedly leaned over and asked in a careful manner, Moying, are you all right? Li Moying moaned, I'm all right, I'm already used to it. It's not the first time that you've attempted murder your husband anyway, you. Huang Yueli wanted to punch him, but her fist had just raised up when she couldn't bear to do so as she withdrew it back. Right, I heard you mentioned about this earlier. You really recalled the past about your past life. Then can you tell me that after I died in my past life, what happened to you? Why were you reborn as well? Li Moying frowned when he heard that as he tried to recall but only felt dizziness in his head. If he were to continue recalling, the pain would become even more intense. He was worried that if he carried on in this way, his illness would act up again, so he could only give up trying as he said, I can't remember anything about this. I can only remember what happened very long ago. The times when we started to get along with each other and several times when we argued and made up. But for things that happened later on, I just can't recall it at all. Including the matter which you told me about you being in northern ice fields, I totally have no impression at all. The minute I tried to think about it, my head would hurt like mad. Huang Yueli was most afraid that his illness would act up, and upon hearing that, she hurriedly said, all right then, don't think about it, please don't think about it. Do you know how scary you looked when your illness acted up yesterday? You seemed a lot more serious than previous few times, and I was so worried that something would happen to you. Her little face was pale like sheet, and that made Li Moying's heart extremely pained. Don't worry, nothing will happen to me. He gently held Huang Yueli's wrist. Take a look, haven't I started to recall a bit of the past already? Perhaps the more intense my illness acts up, the faster it represents on the recovery of my memory, so you don't need to be so anxious. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli actually didn't believe in these kind of words, because when Li Moying's illness acted up, not only did his head hurt badly, it was also accompanied with intense fluctuations of profound energy leaking out from his body. She had never seen anyone's soul detachment illness with such a symptom. But Li Moying wasn't willing to spare her any time to think as he comforted her. That's all right, I know my own body conditions. I think as long as I recover all my memories, then my soul detachment illness will recover without needing any medications. You really don't need to worry, I will also agree to seeing Lu Baiyan. Huang Yueli was obviously surprised because Li Moying had been resisting that for the longest time ever, and even going into a cold war because of that to show his stand that he refused to budge. Now when she had already decided to give up, in the end, Li Moying actually agreed to do a consultation. But since he'd already said this, if she didn't agree to it, she'd be the silly one. Huang Yueli revealed a radiant smile and said, "All right, then we're set on this. Today I'll get someone to send the news over to Divine Dr. Lu, asking him to make a visit to the sect." Li Moying nodded his head, not saying a word. By this timing, Lu Baiyan had long left this place out of anger, so if Huang Yueli was able to find him, it would be really absurd. Furthermore, even if she could find him, there was a Lu Baiyan 90% chance that Lu Baiyan would not see him, so by then the person who fell out with Huang Yueli would be Lu Baiyan. This move was called leading the misfortune to others, which meant to let others take the brunt of the losses on one's behalf by unscrupulous means. So for this role, it's better to leave it to his love rival to take up. Li Moying schemed Lu Baiyan with a peace of mind, but while facing Huang Yueli, he revealed a deep smile. "All right, I'll listen to you entirely, as long as you don't continue quarreling with me." Huang Yueli pouted as she replied unhappily, "Since when did I quarrel with you? It's you who was unreasonable." Just as the two of them were acting intimately, Mo's voice suddenly rang from outside the door. "Young sect master, third miss, are you both awake?" Li Moying had just leaned close to Huang Yueli's face just as he was preparing to kiss her. In the end, the two of them were just a distance of half an inch away. They were actually interrupted just like that. Li Moying wasn't able to take a bite of the fatty meat which was by his mouth, and his mood became extremely irritable as his face sunk immediately. "What are you howling about so early in the morning?" he replied in a bad mood. Mo seemed to be shocked by his fierce tone as he paused for a moment before he started trembling in fear. Master, it's not that I want to disturb the both of you, but that young Master Luo is here early in the morning and had been waiting for the past hour in the guest hall." He looked very restless, as though there's something urgent, so Li Moying's immediately creased tightly. "What's that fellow here for? Haven't I told him that you're in closed-door seclusion and asked him to come over in a few days' time? Could something really have happened?" Huang Yueli couldn't help but laughed. "Yesterday when I went over to save you, I met him. He seemed as though he wanted me to help him refine some profound armaments, so that's why he's so anxious. Yesterday I chased him away and asked him to come over today, but in the end, he actually came by so early in the morning." Li Moying's expression turned even uglier. "What on earth? You're my fiancé, not his. What right does he have to have such specialized service? Especially when he interrupted their intimacy." The two of them were in a cold war for several days, and that represented that they hadn't been intimate for a few days. Huang Yueli laughed as she placated him. All right, stop being so calculative with a child. No matter, I have ready-made profound armaments for him, so we'll be able to settle this within a quarter of an hour. You can also listen on." Truth had proven that a quarter of an hour was not enough to settle it. Luo Jiyun kept choosing for some time before he finally chose one profound armament. And in this way, it was already time for lunch. Luo Jiyun was obviously retarded and hadn't noticed his eldest senior brother's flaming gaze as he stayed on to have lunch. After lunch, Li Moying couldn't take it any further as he swept him out of his door. After such a long argument, Huang Yueli and Li Moying regained their lovey-dovey state, and the two of them started appearing within Celestial Light sect in pairs, which made numerous people green with envy. On the second day after Huang Yueli patched up with Li Moying, she sent someone to look for Lu Baiyan, to find out when he was returning. Unfortunately, the only news she found was that Lu Baiyan had once again left for consultation and his return date was unknown. Hearing such a response, Huang Yueli was slightly unhappy. What's the matter with him? We had obviously agreed on this. Why didn't he sound me when he was back, and now without any notice, he ran off again? Li Moying added more oil to the fire. I already said this, the both of us don't see eye to eye with each other. Perhaps he's not willing to help me, so consultation, but only didn't want to reject this in front of you. After you left, he started to regret it. Stabbing a knife on his love rival, he totally felt no ounce of guilt at all. Furthermore, Li Moying felt that what he said was the truth. Liu Bian indeed didn't want to do a consultation for him, but he indeed didn't know how to reject Huang Yueli, so in which way were these words the lie? At most it was just a little misleading. Huang Yueli naturally trusted him entirely, and her impression towards Liu Bian took a turn for the worse. How could he act in this way? If he didn't want to do a consultation for you, just tell me straight. How dare he try to pacify me like this? This is just too much. Next time he looks for me, I'll ignore him. Li Moying was so happy that he almost laughed out. He didn't expect his leer to be so understanding and was about to draw the line with Liu Bian. He tried his best to stop his laughter, but his shoulders kept shaking from the delight. Huang Yueli stared at him curiously. Moying, what's the matter? Are you not feeling comfortable somewhere again? I'm fine. Li Moying was just about to explain when he heard a knocking sound on his door, and following that, Mo's voice was heard. Master, Sect Master sent someone over saying that those people from West Sky Region's Green Cloud Sect have arrived and will like to invite you over for a discussion. Li Moying nodded. I know already, I'll be right over. Huang Yueli blinked as she asked curiously, Green Cloud Sect? Why have they sent someone over? She had heard of this Green Cloud Sect in her past life. They were West Sky Region's #1 sect, comparable to South Sky Region's Celestial Light sect. But the 4 Sky Regions practitioners' cultivation were averaged out in high and low. West Sky Region's practitioners were the strongest among the other Sky Regions, whereas South Sky Region's ability was the lowest. So although the reputations were said to be comparable, but Green Cloud Sect's ability in total was no different from a few large sect in Soaring Heavens continent, whereas Celestial Light sect was much worse off. So these two sects were actually not on the same level. Li Moying wasn't in a hurry to explain. I'll head over first, and when I come back I'll explain to you in detail. If I'm back late, have your meal first and don't wait for me, N. He finished up his words and lowered his head, naturally giving her a huge kiss on her face, totally not noticing the shadow guards who were standing by the side. After he finished his kiss, he turned around and left. Mo Air tried his best to control his movements, to only stare straight and not look elsewhere. He didn't even dare to look at Huang Yueli in the eye, as he stiffly left along with Li Moying. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli was bored and was preparing to visit Su Qingyue and the others while Li Moying wasn't around. Whoever knew, she had just reached the entrance when she met with an unexpected guest. Miss Bai, we haven't met for a few months and it seems that you have grown much prettier than before. It's no wonder that you're the lady whom eldest senior brother have taken a fancy upon. An introverted and amiable voice was heard from behind her back. Huang Yueli turned back and saw Li Lingchuan, who was dressed in a long green robe, standing not too far behind from her. Although a smile hung on his face, but his expression seemed extremely cold. So it's you. We aren't that familiar, right? Will you please move aside? Huang Yueli said in an impolite tone. She still recalled the time when they were still in the Dark Moon Forest and Li Lingchuan almost got Li Moying killed. This person was her enemy. She naturally didn't show him any face at all. Li Lingchuan seemed as though he didn't see her expression filled with deep hatred as he walked directly in front of her. What's the matter? Eldest senior brother actually didn't follow you around to protect you. He actually let you roam about in Celestial Light sect. Huang Yueli's arms were crossed. What does it have to do with you? I'm only worried that eldest senior brother is not able to protect you properly. After all, I heard that my third junior sister and youngest junior sister all hate you to the core. TSK, you have a lot of guts, seducing my eldest senior brother under these two ladies' eye. You actually still humiliate them so much. It seems that you have a lot of schemes. Li Lingchuan smiled as he talked, but every single sentence was filled with ridicule. Huang Yueli coldly replied, "You're here just to tell me all these. Trying to stand out for the two Miss Murongs. Allow me to remind you that Celestial Light Sect is not your turf, but my fiancé's turf. If you were to do anything to me here, I wonder who will be the one who will get into trouble." Li Lingchuan was a 6th-stage realm practitioner, and moreover he was experiences in actual battle, so in terms of battle power, he was way above Murong Fei. A few months ago when they met in the Dark Moon Forest, Huang Yueli was totally not his match. But now things weren't the same anymore. Huang Yueli admitted that even if she wasn't able to defeat him, but at least she had the ability to escape. Moreover, Li Moying would be back any time, so she didn't know how was it like to be anxious. Li Lingchuan walked near to her as he started to unleash his profound energy with the intention to give her some pressure. Unfortunately, Huang Yueli totally had no reaction, and this made him felt defeated. This is so interesting. You really think that Li Moying can protect you forever? Huang Yueli raised her chin and replied without any hesitation, "Of course. But even without his protection, I can protect myself." This was the aim which she had been working hard towards. She didn't want it to be Li Moying's burden. She wanted to be like in her past life, a buddy who could accompany him alongside during a battle and entrust their backs to each other. She wasn't those kind of weak young lady. Li Lingchuan couldn't help but laughed out loudly. "Good, you sound so magnanimous. No wonder your eldest senior brother's woman. I hope 10 days later, you can still say the same thing." Huang Yueli frowned. "What do you mean?" Li Lingchuan sneered. "You know, what was the reason why Master called for eldest senior brother so early in the morning, and moreover so anxious?" Huang Yueli recalled Li Moying's anxious look as she was slightly puzzled. "Why? Wasn't it because Green Cloud Sect's people are here today?" "Then, haven't he told you the reason for why Green Cloud Sect is here for? You can also listen on." Huang Yueli frowned as she didn't say a word, but only glancing coldly at Li Lingchuan. Not knowing why, she sensed that this fellow definitely was up to some schemes. Li Lingchuan said, "To tell you the truth, Green Cloud Sect's motive in coming here is because they have discovered an ancient mystic region at a location where South Sky region and West Sky region meets." Ancient mystic region. Is this true? Huang Yueli couldn't help but be astonished when he said that. In ancient times, when the profound qi was concentrated in soaring heaven's continent, there were plentiful of strong experts. So in each ancient mystic region, there was a large number of opportunities and treasures which were left down from the ancient times. There were many who entered the mystic region and took a huge step forward to become a top-rated expert. Like Huang Yueli, who discovered the sacred phoenix race's inheritance tower, was one example. But the area of the inheritance tower was very small, and it was only one part of the historical remains, so there wasn't any large space to explore within that mystic region. There were plenty of opportunities which were hidden within the mystic region. But in soaring heaven's continent, there weren't many ancient mystic regions to be discovered. There were a total of 10, and 7 of it were under the control of the hidden sects in Sky Emperor City. So if Green Cloud Sect were to discover a new ancient mystic region, then that would be an incredible discovery which was enough to change the entire soaring heavens continent stance. Li Lingchuan observed the expression on her face as he said slowly, "Do I have a need to lie to you? When eldest senior brother is back, just ask him and you will know." Huang Yueli didn't really believe him. Since Green Cloud Sect has discovered an ancient mystic region, instead of keeping it for themselves, they actually came and told Celestial Light Sect. This is simply not logical, right? Li Lingchuan replied, "Why? Is this very strange? Although Green Cloud Sect discovered a mystic region, but they don't have the ability to activate this mystic region. It was rumored that this mystic region requires at least 29th stage realm practitioners to operate together so that it could successfully be activated. Green Cloud Sect don't have that many 9th stage realm practitioners. So that's the case. In this way, are they here to seek cooperation with Celestial Light Sect? Huang Yueli said while in deep thoughts. Li Lingchuan replied, that's right. Although there are other sects within West Sky region, but they are after all from the same continent. Green Cloud sects don't want to let their competitors gain any advantage, thus they chose South Sky region Celestial Light sect, which is very far away. Huang Yueli nodded and gave a joyous expression. How should I say it? Will Celestial Light sect be sending anyone into the Mystic region? What qualifications do they need to be able to enter it? Li Lingchuan gave her an astonished look as he said in surprise, from your tone, you don't seem to understand what's going to happen? I'm telling you, in this kind of ancient mystic region, there will definitely be a restriction on the number of people who can enter. But eldest senior brother will definitely be one who can enter. As for you, you can only wait outside. Think about it, how many people are jealous of the fact that you've snatched away their male god? When eldest senior brother is gone, how many people will exact their revenge on you? Huang Yueli went into a blank. Li Lingchuan thought that she was afraid and revealed a complacent smile. Now you know what it's like to be anxious. Frightened. By the time eldest senior brother enters the ancient mystic region, it will be too late for him to come out to save you. Aren't you just waiting for people to slaughter you? Huang Yueli blinked and blinked again, then her expression changed as she intentionally gave an extremely terrified look and cried out meekly, Then what should I do? Mo Ying. Mo Ying will really not care about me. Li Lingchuan saw her expression and couldn't help but laughed out loudly in his heart. He coaxed her by saying, that would depend on whether he values you deeply or not. If he does, perhaps he would give up the chance to enter the mystic region because of you. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli was suddenly enlightened, as she finally understood what Li Lingchuan was up to. So this fellow was afraid of Li Moying going through a breakthrough in the ancient mystic region, so he intentionally came to scare her, hoping that she would stop Li Moying from entering the mystic region. In Li Lingchuan's eyes, her cultivation probably wasn't worth noticing and she definitely required Li Moying to protect her. So he assumed that she couldn't bear for Li Moying to leave her. Alas, he had really been thinking too much. Huang Yueli was having this thinking, but her face revealed a meaning expression. Then, what should I do? He wouldn't go to the mystic region, right? Li Lingchuan smiled. It's not easy nor too difficult. But if he really values you, he will definitely stay behind for you. You just need to beg him to do so. Of course, if he's not willing to give up for you, that would mean. You should understand it clearly yourself. Understand your head. Did he really thought that she was an ignorant woman who wasn't aware of anything? In order to keep her fiancé beside her, she would delay his future. Just how many stupid people would do such a thing? Huang Yueli really wanted to roll her eyes towards the sky, but she endured it. She cried out meekly, then, when he comes home, I'll persuade him. Li Lingchuan thought his scheme had worked when he saw her look and added more oil to the fire. Then we'll have to see your ability. Now those people who are jealous of you are already discussing how to deal with you. You'd better watch out for yourself. Saying that, he turned around and left. Huang Yueli looked at his departing figure and lightly frowned. From Li Lingchuan's meaning, it was a difficult chance to enter the mystic region, otherwise he wouldn't have specially came over to threaten her, just to stop Li Moying with the largest possibility to go in. Perhaps Li Lingchuan and the others had already obtained first-hand news on the situation inside the mystic region. Looked like she had to discuss this matter with her fiancé. It was night-time and Li Moying dragged his chilly body back to the room as his expression was obviously tired with his lips slightly pursed. A tinge of impatience was also seen on that good-looking face. But after seeing Huang Yueli welcoming him with a light smile, he instantly relaxed and even gave a smile back. Lear, I heard that you went out shopping today. What good stuff have you bought? Huang Yueli replied, I'm not telling you what I bought, that's a secret. But I met a person whom you totally would not think of. Make a guess, who is it? Li Moying's brows rose as he looked at Huang Yueli. His leer had a sly expression as her full moon eyes were looking at him, waiting for his reply. Li Moying intentionally paused for a moment and, this, seems very difficult to guess. He paused for a moment and said, but I guess, it should be my second junior brother Li Lingchuan. Huang Yueli instantly became disappointed. How did you know? You even guessed this correctly. This is because our hearts are linked together. Li Moying laughed. Did you send someone to follow me around? Or is it Moe the big mouth who sold me out? Li Moying pinched her puffed-up cheek as she shook her head. None of it is correct. But Li Lingchuan was supposed to go to Master today to have a discussion today, but he was late for almost an hour. So linking it all up, he should have met you on his way there. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli pouted as she muttered, aren't you a little too smart? You can even link this up. Then I'll ask you, can you guess what he told me? Li Moying indifferently replied, what else can it be? He probably tried to scare you to stop me from going to the ancient mystic region. Huang Yueli was really shocked. You actually guessed this correctly as well. That's right, he indeed said that. He said that when you weren't around, I will definitely be bullied by the others, so he wants me to beg you to stay and accompany me. Did he think I am an idiot? She exclaimed furiously. Li Lingchuan's words were simply insulting her wisdom. Li Moying couldn't help but shook his head as he laughed out. I knew he's a dumb fool, so just ignore him and let him go act out his single role. He knew many years ago that Li Lingchuan's aim was to replace him, to become Celestial Light Sect's future patriarch. But Li Lingchuan had never thought that in actual fact, Li Moying totally had no interest in Celestial Light Sect. It was a matter of time before he left and he would not become competitors with him at all. It was Li Lingchuan who was treading on death's path all along. If this carried on, sooner or later, his little life would be thrown away. Although Li Moying didn't say it clearly, but their hearts were linked, so just from his cold smile, she was able to guess his intention. She couldn't help but laugh as she said, that's right, so the matter regarding the ancient mystic region is real? Li Lingchuan said Green Cloud Sect sent someone here so that they can activate the ancient mystic region with your sect? That's a newly discovered mystic region. Li Moying nodded. This matter is real and Green Cloud Sect had been lucky. This was rumored to from an ancient record which had been lost in transmission, and in it they discovered an ancient cave which had been left behind by an ancient deity, so they spent quite an amount of effort before they certified the location. This originally wouldn't be revealed to a Celestial Light Sect. But too bad they don't have enough 9th stage realm practitioners in their sect, and out of desperation, hence they decided to cooperate with us. The minute Huang Yueli heard his confirmation, she became even more excited. Really? A super expert who broke through to God Realm? These people all seem to be living in God Realm and very rarely return to Soaring Heaven's continent. This kind of mystic region is something which doesn't come by often. There must be a lot of treasures inside. Li Moying looked at her as he smiled. Why, from your meaning, it sounds as if you want to join in as well. Huang Yueli blinked. That's a given. Li Moying said, with such an opportunity, the quota is very small, and after each of the departments in the sect fight head-to-head over this, the chance will only be given to direct disciples. Huang Yueli stared at him in dissatisfaction. What do you mean? Are you telling me that as fiancé of young sect master, I cannot enter? Li Moying's eyebrows rose as his good-looking face leaned in close to hers. Give me a kiss and I'll bring you in. Huang Yueli didn't kiss him. Instead she stretched out her and pulled his ears. Fat hope. I'm telling you, Li Lingchuan said that if you were to go in, then if a pathetic 4th stage realm practitioner like me stays outside here, a lot of people will be waiting to bully me, and by then, I will suffer a terrible fate. Who else can bully you? Aren't you the one who is always bullying others? Every single day when I go out, I hear people complaining to me that you're beating this person or that person on that day. Li Moying intentionally laughed at her. That's because they deserve to be beaten up. It's a waste of energy for me to beat them up, alright. Huang Yueli replied in an upset tone. You can also listen on. Seeing that Huang Yueli was slightly unhappy, Li Moying finally smiled and said in a conceited tone, alright, you've already said that you're young sect master's fiancé, so how can we not allow you to enter the mystic region? Rest assured. Huang Yueli looked up as she gave him a chilly glance, not going to despise a 4th stage realm practitioner like me from obstructing your way. Li Moying laughed out as he gently held her slender waist. How could that be possible? Our #1 armament master willing to lower her status to form a team with me, that should be my honor. Huang Yueli then spoke satisfactorily in a pampered arrogant tone, at least you know how to talk. Li Lingchuan had never thought that Li Moying would bring Huang Yueli into the mystic region together because normally, for a 7th stage realm expert like Li Moying, having a 4th stage realm lass around was a troublesome thing. If they only went to safe places, then there's no meaning in going to the mystic regions. But if they were to go take risks, they would easily be dragged down by people of lower cultivation. He had never imagined that under the heavens there was someone as illogical as Huang Yueli existed. In actual fact, Li Moying was still a little worried about Huang Yueli's safety, but he had the confidence to protect Huang Yueli. Moreover, this young lass loved to take risks naturally, so even if he wanted to stop her, he wasn't able to, so he might as well not waste his energy in doing so. 2 days later, the people from Green Cloud's sect had arrived. As Green Cloud's sect master brought along a few elders, so it was such an exceptionally festive occasion that even Murongda and the rest put on their formal clothes as they gave them a warm welcome at the entrance of the sect. Li Moying also gave Murongda some face as he went out to welcome them as well. Huang Yueli was merely an outer disciple, so she had no rights to follow the sect master around, nor did she want to be the limelight. But as Su Qingyue and the others went on ahead to join in the bustle, so she tagged along with them. When Green Cloud Sect's flying ship descended, it looked even more luxurious and grander than Celestial Light Sect's, and the grandeur was magnificent. It was evident that the intent of suppressing Celestial Light Sect from the start was there. Hearing the surroundings echoing with phrases such as, so pretty, and, so incredible, Huang Yueli frowned. From the looks of this, Green Cloud Sect obviously came with malicious intent. If they were really sincere in the talk on cooperation, then did they need to use such a provocative manner for this visit? Not much long later, Green Cloud sect master alighted from the flying ship. Green Cloud sect master was Cui Yuan Shan. Huang Yueli heard of his name long ago, and he should be around the same age as Murongda this year and was also a 9th stage realm top expert. But although they were both 9th stage realm practitioners, but the disparity between their abilities was huge. Cui Yuan Shan's total power as compared to Murongda's had stood out by a huge chunk. Cui Yuan Shan walked to the entrance of the mountain bearing an arrogant look, as he greeted Murongda in a neither cold nor warm attitude. Younger brother Murong, I'd not expected for us to meet so quickly once again. Murongda's expression stiffened a little, but following by a cold harumph, he replied, that's right, we meet again in such a short amount of time, it's really unexpected. Originally I had assumed that with brother Cui's arrogance, after losing so terribly in the tournament which was held before, you would take quite a long while before you appear in front of us. Cui Yuan Shan's expression finally changed as his mustache curled upwards from his anger. This was just a slip-up. Moreover, you are just plain lucky to have taken in such a good disciple. It wasn't because of your own ability, so what's there to be complacent about? Murongda saw that he was infuriated, so his smile became even happier. Look at what you're saying. At our current age, cultivation is something which is difficult to proceed any further. So we can only compare between our disciples. To teach our disciples in the correct way is the greatest ability. You can also listen on. Hearing their conversation, the outer disciples crowded around were all puzzled. What's the situation? Wasn't it said that Green Cloud sect master is specially here to pay a visit to our celestial light sect? Why does it seem like they came with ill intentions? Sigh, you must be a newcomer. No wonder you don't understand the situation. A few months ago, Green Cloud sect master brought along a bunch of disciples saying that they were here to have an exchange. In the end, they were beaten badly by our young sect master as they ran back to their sect with their tails tucked behind. You tell me, how could our relationship be good at all? Oh. What? Something like that happened. What's the point for me to bluff you? You see the young man dressed in navy blue robe just standing behind Sect Master Chui. He's Sect Master's eldest disciple Lang Yifeng. I heard that he's a 9th grade talent. In the end, he totally wasn't a match for our young Sect Master. Wow, then our young Sect Master is really powerful. Little wonder that he's the male god of Celestial Light Sect. But that Mr. Lang is also not bad-looking, refined and elegant, so what about that? As long as he goes against young Sect Master, that means he's an enemy of Celestial Light Sect. Don't you dare be smitten towards our enemy. The number of disciples he brought along weren't very little, but the most outstanding was the one who followed closely, and he should be Lang Yifeng, who the other disciples were gossiping about. Lang Yifeng indeed was a man of talent. Just from his imposing manner, he should be around 6th stage realm between 7th or 8th level, and he looked stronger than Li Lingchuan and Murong Fei. Besides him, Cui Yuan Shan also brought along 5 to 6 other disciples who were all 6th stage realm and above. It was a magnificent scene to see them all standing there. But no matter how many strong and powerful disciples there were in Green Cloud Sect, there wasn't any use at all. Celestial Light Sect only needed one Li Moying and was enough to shine over the others. Cui Yuan Shan was ridiculed by Murongda, so his expression was steely green. It took him quite some time to suppress the anger in his heart as he gave a few cold harumphs. Younger brother Murong, you still have the cheek to say you know how to teach your disciple? Do you believe that if I were Mr. Li's master, he might already had reached 8th stage realm by now? Following you is obviously a huge delay. Mr. Li, why not you consider again? If you wish to come over to Green Cloud Sect, just feel free to open your mouth. Hearing that, Murongda seemed as like his cat tail was trodden on as he almost jumped up. Brother Cui, poaching another sect's disciples is something which is against the society's rules. If you're not afraid that the other sects would get together to go against you, just wait and see. Yo, why so uptight? You know that you don't have enough ability, so you're really afraid your disciple will run away. Cui Yuan Shan continued with his sarcasm. Li Moying didn't show much reaction, but Ling Fengyi, on the other hand, clenched his fists tightly, trying his best to suppress his emotions, but he still revealed some hints of jealousy and hatred. He was once someone who was flushed with success, one whom the entire sect had treated as a moon by the crowd, thinking that he was the best candidate to revive their sect. In the end, the last time Cui Yuan Shan brought him to Celestial Light Sect for a showdown, he originally was on the winning side. But whoever knew that just as all the other Celestial Light Sect's disciples were all beaten flat, this Li Moying suddenly came rushing over. Li Moying was travel-worn and hadn't even changed out of his sweat-drenched clothes when he ran up the stage and make his moves against him. At that time, Ling Fengyi was still laughing in his heart. With such a condition like that, was he thinking of winning a genius like himself? You can also listen on. But in the end, he was severely hit in the face. Li Moying defeated him in a jiffy, and later on, it was as though he had swatted dead a housefly. He perfunctorily cupped one fist in the other hand and left. From the start to the end, Li Moying didn't even look at him in the eye, making Ling Fengyi suspect that even until this day, if Li Moying knew who the person whom he had defeated was. As for now, his master actually said such things to Murongda publicly. Although it looked like a joke, but Ling Fengyi knew clearly that his master had been coveting Li Moying for a long time. If Li Moying really came to Green Cloud sect, then would he Ling Fengyi still had any standing? Ling Fengyi was feeling jealous and was filled with hatred as he looked towards Li Moying. Li Moying seemed as though he had sensed his gaze as he silently swept a glance at him. Ling Fengyi had just exchanged glances for just 1 second but felt as though he had been struck by lightning as his entire body shook. Because that pair of eyes was just too deep, as abstruse as the nether world, and gloomy and melancholic, making one had the jitters. It was too terrifying. At the same time, Murongda was repeatedly being ridiculed as he also started to become anxious. Facing Cui Yuanshan, he totally had no stand at all and the words he said were extremely fictitious. That one surnamed Cui, don't even think of using these lousy schemes to strain us master and disciple relationship. Moying had grown up in Celestial Light sect since young and he had deep-set feelings towards the sect, so he will absolutely not do anything to betray our sect. Haha, I think Master Li is just giving you face so he finds it ill at ease to say it out. Actually he knows clearly that just a mere Celestial Light sect, the water is too shallow so it cannot accommodate a submerged dragon like him. Master Li, am I right to say that? Cui Yuanshan continued to chuckle. Frankly speaking, for a genius like Li Moying, he knew that even his Green Cloud sect couldn't accommodate him. But why was Celestial Light sect's luck so good that they casually took a disciple of his caliber like that? This kinda dog sh*t luck really made one jealous. He just wanted to take a dig at Murongda. When Murongda heard that, he couldn't laugh at all. The few of them all looked towards Li Moying, not knowing how he would reply. Li Moying's gaze swept past those few people in Green Cloud sect and expressionlessly replied, "Thank you sect Master Cui for your good intentions but Li Moying is a man of sentimental values. That year it was Master who saved me when I almost died in the snowy ground. He brought me back to the sect and I will never forget this gratitude forever. So unless Celestial Light sect wants to drive me away, forcing me to leave, otherwise I will absolutely not leave Celestial Light sect." The speed of his tone was very slow, but each word was extremely clear and distinct, so elegant and valuable that no one doubted the actuality of his words at all. When Murongda heard what he said, the huge stone weighing on his heart immediately dropped onto the ground. He revealed a smile as he said to Cui Yuanshan, "Haha, this disciple of mine is so sentimental and loyal, even the words he says are so direct. Sigh, sometimes I also feel like I'm in a difficult position. His character is so straight, so he might meet with some villains who don't have any eyes, so what should we do?" Although he said, difficult position, but in actual fact his heart was blooming with flowers. He had not expected Li Moying to stand up for him, especially in front of Cui Yuanshan. These words simply added more glow on his face. Just seeing Cui Yuanshan's envious and infuriated expression, his waist was no longer sore and his feet no longer hurt. His entire condition couldn't be any better, as he was even happier than when he first broke through to the 9th stage realm. In total, just one word, refreshing. You can also listen on. At this particular moment, Murongda was feeling extremely lucky that he hadn't listened to Murong Fei a few days ago to deal with Li Moying's fiancée. If Li Moying could stay on in Celestial Light sect forever, standing up for Celestial Light sect, then what's the difference on whom he married? He originally wanted Murong Fei to marry him was exactly because he was afraid that Li Moying's wings would grow so strong that he would run away one fine day. Now, Li Moying had already clearly stated his attitude. Regarding Celestial Light sect's matters, there was no way that he wouldn't care about it, but Celestial Light Sect was not able to force him to do things which he didn't want to do. Muronda wasn't silly as well, so he knew that what he was referring to was his own marriage. Speaking about this, Muronda had no way of opposing to what he said. Instead, he couldn't wait to go pull strings with Li Moying's rumored fiancé. For that young lass to win such great favor, it meant that she stood a huge place in Li Moying's heart, so she was someone who he couldn't afford to offend. However, Cui Yuanshan's expression turned ugly. Li Moying's words were equivalent to slapping his face. His poaching was openly rejected, and to such an embarrassing degree, this as compared to Ling Fengyi being defeated in one strike was almost the same. He thought that Li Moying wouldn't dare to offend a 9th stage realm practitioner and would at least leave him some face. In the end, how would Cui Yuanshan knew that Li Moying had already regained part of Mu Qingying's memories. He had met plenty of 9th stage realm practitioners in the past, and without any exception, they were all defeated by him, so why would he care about Cui Yuanshan at all? Cui Yuanshan's expression turned green and white. Muronda on the other hand seemed flushed with success as he broke out into a broad smile to welcome his guests. Come on, Brother Cui, let's stop blocking the entrance to chat, hurry on into the sect. After we parted ways that day, I really missed those times when we were together, so I've specially set up a banquet in the main hall of the sect to welcome all of you. You've been over to Celestial Light Sect's main hall, do you still remember it? That's the exact same main hall where the last tournament was held, when Moying suddenly appeared and defeated every opponent he met. Huang Yueli looked at the departing figures of these group of people and couldn't help but rolled her eyes towards the sky. Although Cui Yuanshan and the rest's backs were facing her and she couldn't see their expressions, but using her but to think, she knew that every in Green Cloud sect were probably going mad from fury. As the saying went, don't hit one's face when you're having a fight. Muronda intentionally mentioned the last event where they were beaten hands down and even set the banquet at where they had been defeated. Muronda's skill at infuriating others really didn't lose out to Murong Fei at all. No wonder they're biological father and daughter. But on account that they treated Li Moying pretty well, she could still barely force herself to believe that he was a good guy. After Huang Yueli was done with watching the show, she returned to the courtyard. She gauged that Li Moying wouldn't be back so early, so she thought about going into the armament refining room to refine some small stuff. But before she even lit the fire, Moe came knocking on the door. Third Miss, Master sent a message earlier saying that he hopes that you can accompany him to entertain the valuable guests from Green Cloud sect at the banquet this evening. Huang Yueli went into a blank for a moment and immediately replied, banquet? I'm not interested, not going. Although she loved bustles, but she hated to entertain other people. So for this kind of hypocritical event where she had to speak according to what kind of people she met, she rarely attended in her past life. Li Moying was almost the same, and if he was forced to join in such events, he would usually put on his cold face and not speak a single word from the start till the end. When others say him, they were usually afraid, and there were few who had the qualifications to strike up a conversation with him, so this was a major embarrassment. What was wrong with Li Moying today, for him to ask her to join in the banquet? You can also listen on. Moe hurriedly said, Third Miss, it's best that you go this round. This time I heard that Sect Master wanted to meet you, so young Sect Master specially noted this. Master even said that if you don't like this kind of events, he will not ask you to go next time, but for this time, he needs your help. Since Li Moying had already said this, Huang Yueli had no way to reject. Alright, then I'll make my way over. She nodded, and just as she was about to stand up, Moe added, Third Miss, Master has already prepared the gown which you will be putting on for the banquet, will you please take a look? He clapped his hand and a few serving maids carried their own trays as they walked over. Huang Yueli took a look. A set of exquisite flowing dress was placed on the tray, and it was exactly the same design which she loved in her past life. Furthermore, this dress was made entirely out of heaven arachnid azure silk, and each silk strand was worth at least 10,000 upper-grade spirit stones to weave into clothes. It looked white, but with every movement from the wearer, from different angles, the clothes would reflect different luster and color, with brilliant flowing lights, and it was extremely luxurious. Ordinary people would use heaven arachnid azure silk to weave into belts or similar accessories, and that was something which was already difficult to obtain. For Li Moying to use it extravagantly to weave into a dress was rarely seen. When Huang Yueli saw this dress, she was extremely happy. Taking a look at the other serving maids' trays with various exquisite accessories, she was delighted that they were filled with all those which she loved in her past life. The corners of her lips couldn't help but raise upwards as her mood turned light and joyous. The items which Li Moying sent were very expensive, but this was secondary. What was most important was that he actually recalled her likes in her past life, and after so many years had passed, he hadn't forgotten about it at all. That meant that he really had regained part of his memories, and moreover, he finally put her in his heart. Huang Yueli took the dress and returned to her room to change into it. Then she put on some makeup before following the shadow guards which Li Moying had sent over, as she proceeded towards the main hall. At this moment, Li Moying was standing right outside the main hall waiting for her. On seeing Huang Yueli, Li Moying immediately stood in a daze, and subsequently he gasped in admiration. He walked over and held her hand as he said in a mellow voice, "Lear, you look simply stunning in the flowing dress. You're so beautiful that I can't believe it." Huang Yueli smiled sweetly as she pulled up the hem of her dress as turned sideways slightly. The luxurious heaven azure silk followed her movement, striking a dazzling arc. That golden ray accompanied with her slender figure looked like a dream. Li Moying also was dazed as he couldn't help but hugged her while speaking beside her ear. "What should I do? You're just too beautiful that I don't dare to bring you to the banquet. If someone else falls in love with you, what should I do?" Huang Yueli said laughingly, "Why? Young sect Master Li also has his moments of no self-confidence. You're South Sky Region's #1 genius. Which man can be more powerful than you? I'm not blind, so why would I shift my affections on to another person? Moreover, there are so many female disciples who are secretly in love with you. Since I'm not worried, what do you have to worry about?" The ending of those words sounded a little sour. Li Moying touched his nose, instinctively feeling that this topic shouldn't go on. He hurriedly said, "The banquet has started and we're already late, so let's hurry and go in." Saying that, he stretched out his arm towards Huang Yueli, allowing her to hook her own arm onto his before he started leading her into the banquet hall slowly. You can also listen on. By now, the banquet had already started for quite some time. The important guests had already arrived at the banquet and only lacking Li Moying, but unfortunately, he was one of the people who attracted the most attention. So many people were already trying to find out why he hadn't arrived yet. Just as this moment, the main hall's main entrance opened up and the lovely couple Li Moying and Huang Yueli walked right in. The minute they appeared, everyone's eyes fell onto them uncontrollably. This couple, in terms of external looks, was simply too outstanding. Li Moying's good looks were the same as his ability, which enjoyed a widespread reputation. All the young ladies present, no matter if they were from Celestial Light sect or Green Cloud sect, bore some admirations of love for him. Usually, just one expression of his was enough to cause an uproar among the young ladies, but today, in order to tie in with Huang Yueli, he specially adorned himself, which made him look handsome beyond words, unable to find a single flaw on him. But this wasn't the most shocking thing. The real matter which made everyone surprised was the young lady beside him. This was absolutely the first time when Li Moying brought a female companion to take part in a banquet. Just this fact alone was enough to make all the young ladies' hearts shatter into pieces. But what made one even more melancholic was the young lady beside him was simply too stunning. Almond-shaped eyes and peach cheeks, her complexion was pearly white and that petite figure was slender and thin. What attracted the most attention was that set of flowing dress on her. Some of the higher-grade practitioners who were more experienced could tell the material of the dress on her, and they all drew in a mouthful of cold air. Just the price of this dress alone was enough to purchase a sixth-tier profound armament. There's someone who spent such a huge fortune just to look beautiful, buying a useless piece of ordinary dress. What was called extravagant? This was real extravagance. Murong Fei was standing by the side and almost gnashed her teeth to pieces when she saw this. Earlier when Huang Yueli and Li Moying entered the hall together, she was already so jealous that she almost died. Then on seeing Huang Yueli's piece of beautiful and expensive flowing dress, she was even more infuriated that she started shaking all over. She could tell that for a country bumpkin like Huang Yueli, how would she be able to afford such an expensive dress? Then looking at all the accessories on her. Those were definitely given to her by Li Moying. What ability did this little vixen had? Why was she able to seduce Li Moying, not only bringing her to such an important function and furthermore, giving her such an expensive clothing? A flowing dress made out of heaven arachnid azure silk. As Celestial Light Sect's eldest young miss, she couldn't bear to part with her money to buy it. What right did this wretched lass have to wear such a great dress? Murong Fei was so upset that she couldn't wait to strip Huang Yueli's dress down from her on the spot. Li Moying hugged Huang Yueli's slender waist tightly as she led him to the front of Murong De and Cui Yuanshan. Cui Yuanshan looked at them in surprise as he asked, "Master Li, may I ask, this young lady is your..." Li Moying introduced, "Miss Bai here is my fiancée. We've been prenatally betrothed since young and half a year ago. I went back to South Yu Kingdom and officially set this marriage. Lear, this is my master, Sect Master Murongda, and this is Sect Master Cui from Green Cloud Sect." Huang Yueli put on an obedient look as she greeted the two sect masters. Murongda sized Huang Yueli up as he secretly nodded his head in his heart. When he heard Murong Fei's description in the past, he thought that she was a selfish young lady who wasn't presentable at all. But seeing her today, his perception of her totally changed. You can also listen on. But on second thoughts, for someone like Li Moying, how could his taste possibly be bad? Probably Murong Fei had said it out of jealousy and intentionally made her out to be so. Murongda didn't want to think of his daughter in such a bad way, but the truth was staring right at him. He secretly sighed as he nodded at Huang Yueli. "Miss Bai, thank you for saving Moying that time. I haven't had the chance to express my gratitude." Huang Yueli smiled. "There's no need for thanks. Moying is my fiancé, so it's something that I should do if I can help him in anything." When Li Moying heard that, his heart was touched as he squeezed Huang Yueli's hand. Huang Yueli turned her head over towards him and smiled. Cui Yuanshan saw this and was chuckling. So, Master Li actually had a prenatal betrothed fiancé. Hee, in the past I had always thought that eldest Miss Murong and Master Li was a couple. I'd not expected. When Murongda heard that, his expression changed immediately. The taunt in Cui Yuanshan's words were too obvious, so no one was able to ignore it at all. "Looks like it's indeed my own mistake. Master Li and Miss Bai are an ideal couple and you indeed look compatible. No wonder you don't have any interest in Sect Master's daughter. Hee, congratulations to the both of you," Cui Yuanshan added. When he said that, Murongda became even more embarrassed. However, the one who was more embarrassed was Murong Fei, who was standing right behind him. Initially when she saw Li Moying and Huang Yueli appearing in such an endearing manner, it was enough to make her felt upset. But in the end, before things came to an end, it was actually used by Cui Yuanshan to work up a topic, as he immodestly taunted her in front of so many people. Murong Fei had never been so embarrassed before. Alas, facing Cui Yuanshan, a ninth-stage realm practitioner who was even more powerful than her father. She had to weigh to rebuke him and no possibility of resistance at all. So she could only direct all her fury towards Huang Yueli. The gaze which she casted onto her simply felt as though it was a dagger laced with poison. It was all because of this little slut. If it hadn't been for her who had shamelessly climbed onto eldest senior brother's bed, then the person who was standing next to Li Moying would be her, Murong Fei. How could she possibly accept such humiliation? Li Moying's gaze coldly swept past Cui Yuan Shan, but he didn't say anything else except, "My fiancée hasn't taken her dinner and is a little hungry. I'll bring her to get some food, so excuse me." Saying that, he took Huang Yueli's hand and left. This scene made Cui Yuan Shan's face reveal a deep and meaningful smile. Early this morning, he talked bad about Murong De and Li Moying automatically jumped out to rebuke him. But now that he talked about Murong Fei, Li Moying actually had no reaction at all. Looked like this eldest Miss Murong really didn't know how to hold a man's heart. Li Moying had completely treated her as thin air, as his eyes only had this rumored fiancé. This was something rare, not knowing just how outstanding this Miss Bai was, to be able to make Celestial Light Sect's eldest Miss become a dreg. Murong Fei had been totally dismissed by Li Moying and was so infuriated that she almost rushed over. Luckily Li Lingchuan, who was standing beside her, stopped her. "Third junior sister, don't be rash. Can't you see that eldest senior brother is so protective of her? Even if you wanted to make things difficult for her, then you will need a reason, isn't it? Don't be rash, we've already arranged everything, so just wait and see. Don't you jump out by yourself and spoil our plan." Murong Fei thought of their plans and forcefully tolerated with her anger as she remained still on the spot. You can also listen on. Li Moying brought Huang Yueli to his seat as he prepared to take a seat. As Celestial Light Sect's young sect master, he had always been sitting on one seat lower to Murong De, which was in the middle position. Just as the two of them were preparing to sit down, a maid suddenly appeared behind the both of them as she stopped them. "Miss Bai, your seat is not here." Li Moying gave her an icy cold stare. "What's going on? You're new. Don't you know the regulations?" The maid was severely stared at by Li Moying, and she suddenly felt her legs going soft as sweat started to profuse from her forehead. Murong Fei designated her to pass the message, and she thought she was on a lucky track to be able to go near to young sect master at such a short distance. In the end, when she finally reached Li Moying, she realized that just one gaze or one action actually made one terrified. But no matter how afraid she was, she had no way to retreat right now, so she could only brace herself as she continued talking. Young sect master, your seat is indeed here, but Miss Bai. Miss Bai is only an outer disciple, she cannot sit here." Li Moying's expression immediately sunk as his gaze turned surly with a tinge of bitter frost. He cried out sharply, "Who are you to give my woman instructions?" Scram! His voice held the suppression of profound energy as it was filled with grim and rigor. The maid was merely a third-stage realm practitioner and simply couldn't take it as she was pushed back and blood started trickling down the corner of her mouth, evident ally suffering from a serious internal injury. Li Moying didn't even bother to look at her as he pulled Huang Yueli's hand, leading her to take a seat. Just at this moment, another voice was heard. "Eldest senior brother, why must you do this? Why must you vent your anger on a lowly little maid? It's not as though you don't know about the sect's regulations. For such a formal occasion in the sect, everyone must take their seats according to their own ability and status, not just using their relations to sit wherever they liked. By doing this, aren't you bringing shame to Celestial Light Sect?" The person who said those was Li Lingchuan. Both Murong Fei and him appeared behind them together. Li Lingchuan's words resounded out sharply as he intentionally made sure everyone in the entire event hall heard that. Momentarily, everyone's gaze was casted upon them, especially those Green Cloud sect's disciples, as they sensitively felt that something major was going to happen. All of them kept their eyes peeled but didn't understand what was going on. Li Moying's pitch-black eyes flashed a sliver of iciness. Li Lingchuan, your guts is certainly not small, you actually dare you appear in front of me. I let you off because I don't want to dirty my hands. Instead of tucking your tail in to be a proper human, you actually dare to be disrespectful to my woman. Who gave you the guts to do so? Li Lingchuan was forced back by his imposing manner as he couldn't help but took a step back as he was secretly shocked. His eldest senior brother's potential seemed to have raised several notches from when they last met in the Dark Moon Forest. This was just too terrifying and too ridiculous. He tried his best to stabilize his messy internal breathing as he shouted, "Eldest senior brother, if you have something against your junior brother me, we can talk about it later. But now Celestial Light Sect is holding an important function, a banquet for Green Cloud Sect, and you actually outrightly do something against the sect's regulations. Aren't you throwing our sect's reputation away in front of others? I'm purely thinking for Celestial Light Sect and absolutely not going against you, so eldest senior brother, please don't misunderstand this. You can also listen on." Li Lingchuan's words were wrapped up beautifully, but everyone could tell that he was intentionally going against Li Moying. Celestial Light Sect's disciples were all breaking out in cold sweat, feeling that Li Lingchuan must have gone mad. He actually had the audacity to provoke Li Moying's authority and even provoked him openly in front of other sects. Even if he could go past today safely, he would probably be fixed terribly by Li Moying another day, right? What on earth was going in his mind? Whereas for Green Cloud Sect's disciples, all of them started to find out about Li Lingchuan's matter, as they were all interested in this kind of gossip. Cui Yuan Shan played around with his two blades of mustache as he laughed heartily, even turning around to speak to Murong De, who was standing beside him. "I say, junior brother Murong, your sect's regulations are pretty strict. Ability speaks within the sect, and this is the basis of your sect's thrive. Furthermore, your disciple is also taught well. Even if young sect master had done something wrong, he wasn't afraid of authority and stood out to lecture him. TSK, this is really a good disciple who thinks on behalf of the sect." When his words were out of his mouth, Murong De's face turned red, as he was as embarrassed as he could be. Cui Yuan Shan appeared to be praising Celestial Light Sect, but in actual fact, who couldn't tell that it was sarcasm? His disciples were not harmonious, and usually he closed one eye since they argued in private. But now in front of Green Cloud Sect, making such a huge din, didn't they knew how embarrassing it was? Murong De called out sharply to Li Lingchuan, "Lingchuan, what are you saying? Miss Bai is your future sister-in-law. Even if she sat at the upper seat, there's nothing wrong with that." Whoever knew that before Li Lingchuan could even open his mouth, Murong Fei had already talked back at him. "Father, I cannot agree with what you said. How could you be so unfair? I'm your eldest daughter and Celestial Light Sect Master's daughter. But usually those who can sit on the upper seats had always been eldest senior brother and second senior brother. My sister and I have always been seated according to our abilities and had never said we wanted to sit on the first seat. Since the sect's regulations are so, that even we have to abide it, then why can't Miss Bai abide by our sect regulations?" How would Murong De not know that Murong Fei was just going dead against Li Moying's fiancé? But unfortunately the words which Murong Fei said were reasonable and justified, totally unable to let anyone rebuke these words. Plus the fact that Green Cloud Sect's people were right beside him, so no matter what he said, it just wasn't correct. Murong Fei saw her father being beaten and a smile surfaced on her mouth as she turned around to talk to Huang Yueli. "Miss Bai, I'm so sorry, outer disciples are usually not allowed to take part in this kind of function, but since your eldest senior brother's fiancé, then we have already aced it. So we've arranged a seat for you, will you please sit by that side?" Murong Fei's finger stuck out and everyone's vision followed the direction of where her finger pointed to. On looking, everyone were shocked. A single table was placed right below the stage in the main hall, and it was even further back than the last table's position. The last table had always been in the main hall, but that table had been purposely placed outside the outer rim of the last table. If it was a bit further out, it would be out of the main hall's boundary. This time round, everyone could tell that Murong Fei intentionally wanted to humiliate Huang Yueli. My goodness, eldest young Mrs. Scheme is too vicious. What do you say, will Miss Bai really go take a seat there? If she doesn't, what else can she do? Unless she directly leaves this place. This is really embarrassing. That's right, in the end, isn't it because of her own potential and status? Who else can she blame? You can also listen on. I wonder if young sect master will stand out for her. This is after all the venue for welcoming Green Cloud sect. Surely young sect master wouldn't have a fight with young masterly, right? That we will totally become a laughing stock for Green Cloud sect. The crowd were discussing on their own, and all of them used a sympathetic gaze on Huang Yueli. To be humiliated openly in this kind of place, but unfortunately her only backing Li Moying could not possibly help her. So many people placed themselves in the shoes of Huang Yueli, and all of them felt that if they had met with such a matter, they would definitely kill themselves by banging their heads onto the wall. This was really embarrassing. But there were many people who made sarcastic remarks as well. I feel that this Bai Ruoli deserves this. Who asked her to overrate herself? She's merely an outer disciple and making use her status as young sect master's fiancée to attend such a formal event. Who does she think she is? Isn't that so? Since she'd already gained such a big advantage to become young sect master's fiancée, instead of indulging in her own happiness, why did she had to appear at the banquet? Look at the dress she's wearing and how much makeup she put on. Didn't she even think if her own status and cultivation was worthy of that dress? That's right, she should learn a lesson from here. Celestial Light sect is a large sect which lineage had been around for 1,000 years. She cannot just rely on a man and act willfully according to her own wishes. Huang Yueli had snatched away the male god whom everyone hoped for, so she had long incurred the jealousy of numerous disciples. Especially for those direct disciples, when they saw that Murong Fei's potential and status were higher than hers, they didn't dare to snatch him from her, but unfortunately an outer disciple popped out and took Li Moying away. Everyone felt that their own status and ability had surpassed Huang Yueli, so naturally they were not convinced. The discussions reached Murong Fei's ears, and that made her even more delighted. She smiled coldly towards Huang Yueli. Miss Bai, what are you still hesitating about? Do you feel that you really have the ability to sit at this place? Haven't you thought that you're merely an outer disciple, and this status of outer disciple was obtained by passing yourself off as a senior sister in your academy? Not only that, you're just a practitioner from a neighboring small country and your status is lowly. If even you can sit on such a high status seat by relying on a man, then would there still be any fairness within the sect in future? Murong Fei said this out loudly. It seemed as though she was afraid that Green Cloud sect's people didn't knew about this, so she intentionally announced Huang Yueli's status and potential loudly for everyone to hear. She wanted to let everyone know that Huang Yueli had no abilities at all. She couldn't even become an outer disciple, and all she was a little slut who hugged onto the Li Moying's thigh while swindling him. All these so that she could make Huang Yueli humiliated not only within the sect, but outside as well. Dared to snatch her Murong Fei's man. She must let Huang Yueli lose both fortune and honor. The more Li Moying heard, the more his heart was firing up as he couldn't wait to slap these scums who dared to slander his leer. He was not merely thinking only, he wanted to take immediate action, and as his thoughts turned, his surround profound energy started to fluctuate and turned intense. Huang Yueli noticed it and hurriedly tugged his sleeves as she shook him gently. Li Moying's actions took a halt as he lowered his head to look at her. Huang Yueli raised her head and winked at him, telling him that she could settle this on her own and for him to be calm. Li Moying and her heart were linked, so he understood her meaning. He was still not unwilling to let go. He stared at her for a moment and hesitated but still wanted to make a move. Huang Yueli anxiously took a step in front of him, blocking his direction of making his move. You can also listen on. If Li Moying were really to make his move, then the banquet would really be ruined because Murong Fei would either end up dead or crippled. She didn't really care about the life and death of those two scums Murong Fei and Li Lingchuan. But in this way, Celestial Light Sect would totally be in a mess and Li Moying would completely fall out with Murong De. She didn't wish for Li Moying to pay such a heavy price because of her. Because at this juncture, she could still handle it by herself. Huang Yueli spoke to Murong Fei. Miss Murong, what right do you have to say that I'm not qualified to sit here? Do you feel that my status isn't high enough, or my potential isn't strong enough? I think my status as young sect master's fiancé, even if I'm merely an outer disciple, but my status shouldn't be too bad, so that means you think my potential isn't strong enough? Murong Fei laughed coldly. That's right, you do know yourself quite well. The others who are seated here have both status and ability, except for you. You're so weak that you cannot even withstand a blow. You assume that you have a status. Don't you know that in soaring heaven's continent, only the strong are able to obtain the most valuable status? For someone like you, you're simply a joke. Her words were totally rude as she waited for Huang Yueli to turn embarrassed till she had no place to hide and could only leave the venue in anger. However, Huang Yueli gave a slight smile. Miss Murong is absolutely right. In soaring heaven's continent, only the strong are worthy of being respected, the weak aren't even fit to lift up the shoes for anyone. Murong Fei was first stunned as she didn't expect Huang Yueli to say that. Could this wretched lass be mad? But very quickly, she sneered. It's good that you understand this logic, so why aren't you hurrying down to sit by the side? Huang Yueli replied, no hurry, I haven't finished my words. Since potential represents outseating, then does it mean that as long as I can defeat the practitioner who is sitting in an upper seat, then I can replace them and sit on their seat? Murong Fei's eyes turned wide as she immediately started laughing out loudly. Right, you are absolutely right. But allow me to remind you that all the disciples seated here, other than you, are all Celestial Light Sect's direct disciples. I guess that you should have heard about the innate talent and potential about direct disciples, right? You wish to defeat them. Haven't you even considered how heavy you are? Not only Murong Fei, even those direct disciples who were seated here were all infuriated when they heard those words. This, surely not right. Bai Ruoli actually intends to challenge direct disciples? That's right, is she mad? I know she's very outstanding among the outer disciples and she indeed has some skills. But, to have a battle with direct disciples? She's too full of herself. Matters regarding a practitioner's honor, we couldn't possibly just let her win just because she's young sect master's fiancée. That's right, I know she's definitely not resigned to sit on the last seat, but this kind of challenge without thinking about the consequences, if she's defeated, then wouldn't it be even more embarrassing? What on earth is she thinking about? AI, young sect master's good name, surely it would not be ruined in her hands today, right? Towards these sentences, Huang Yueli treated her as though she didn't hear anything. Her gaze was cold as she stared intently at Murong Fei and speaking in a clear voice, to be more precise, I wish to challenge you. Murong Fei thought that she had heard wrongly and it took quite a while before she burst out into laughter. I say, am I hearing things? You intend to challenge me? You can also listen on. Murong Fei was smiling on the surface. Miss Bai, do you not know what is my cultivation level? Let me tell you, although my potential cannot be compared to eldest senior brothers, but I'm at least a 6th-stage realm first-level practitioner. Your cultivation is at most 4th-stage realm. You wish to cross over 2 large realms to battle with me. Did you think that you're a peerless genius like eldest senior brother? Huang Yueli replied calmly, wouldn't we find out when we have a battle? The discussions below the stage became even louder. Even Murongda couldn't help but became anxious. Li Lingchuan subconsciously turned back to look at Li Moying, only to discover that beside the frost on Li Moying's good-looking face, he didn't show any anxious emotions. Furthermore, he didn't seem as though he would stop these two from having the battle. This made Li Lingchuan frown uncontrollably as he couldn't tell what Li Moying was up to. Just some time ago, Li Moying was still burning up with fire, thinking to help Huang Yueli make a move. But now Huang Yueli's condition was even more precarious as she would probably turn out either dead or injured in Murong Fei's hands. But Li Moying was totally not anxious at all. This was just too abnormal, right? Murongda couldn't stand it further as he stood up and shouted, enough, Fair and Miss Bai. This is the sect's official banquet and not a place where they both of you can do as you wished, so let's all stop this now. Today, I allowed Moying to bring Miss Bai along, so Miss Bai is considered as one of my valuable guests, so I'll make an exception today. Add a seat next to young sect master for Miss Bai now. As Murongda's instruction was given, his gaze brushed past coldly towards the few maids who were standing by the side. He was after all a 9th-stage realm top expert, and usually he was amiable, but when he really got fired up, the disciples didn't dare to go against him at all. The maids hurriedly ran across as they moved Huang Yueli's seat up. Murong Fei saw this and was feeling infuriated, not knowing why her father stood on Huang Yueli's side. The more she thought, the more unresigned she felt as she refused to give in. She continued to stare at Huang Yueli and laughed coldly. No wonder you said such things earlier, so you already knew that my father wouldn't allow us to fight. You're really good at pretending. Now you can openly take a seat over there, so congratulations. This was a bare provocation. Huang Yueli had actually intended to give face to Murongda, letting Murong Fei off, but on hearing these words, her face sunk as her footsteps halted. Eldest Miss Murong, does this mean that you don't want to give your father any face and insists on having a battle with me? Fair. Murongda howled angrily. He had never expected that his usually obedient and magnanimous daughter had lost control every single time when it was related to Li Moying's matters. Now she actually ignored the sect's reputation, and if this went on, he didn't dare to think how Green Cloud sect's people would laugh at them behind their backs. But right now, Murong Fei was intent on not listening to him, so much that even Huang Yueli's anger flared up. The two young ladies exchanged glances as their eyes were filled with an icy cold bitterness. A battle was about to start. Just at this moment, a hurried shuffling of footsteps was heard coming from the main hall's entrance. A guard jogged along the way as he dashed into the banquet hall. On seeing the entire hall so quiet and with such a tense atmosphere, he was slightly shocked, but very quickly, he regained his senses as he bowed his head down to pay his respects. Reporting to Sect Master Chui, the Armament Guild's president who has already arrived at the sect. Before Murongda could say anything, he heard a burst of laughter coming from the door. Sect Master Murong, Sect Master Chui, I'm so sorry. I was delayed, so I arrived late. You can also listen on. The atmosphere now was already so tight that a serious rift could break out any second. But at this moment, a sudden light laugh was heard and many of them didn't manage to regain their senses. President Hu's words had just landed when he appeared at the entrance of the venue. He was dressed in a new Armament Master's long robe and a 6th-tier Armament Master badge was pinned on his chest. His long hair was combed straight without any stray hairs and his hand was touching his beard as he strode in with heavy steps. Anyone who saw him couldn't help but exclaim, It's no wonder he's Sky Cloud City's Armament Guild president. He indeed had the air of a great master. He was still talking as he walked right in. Both sect masters, we haven't met for many years. Today Sect Master Chui is here and Sect Master Murong still remembered to invite me over for a drink, so this is indeed my utmost honor. Chui Yuan Shan immediately smiled as he got up to welcome him. Please don't say that, President Hu. Junior brother Murong and I had roamed around the South Sky region for experience training, and we have been taken care of by you a lot of times, so I've long wanted to have a gathering with you. Unfortunately, the last time I came by, it was in a rush, so now that junior brother Murong invited you over, I'd been hoping for it for a long time. President Hu started chuckling. So you still remember me? I thought that now that the both of you are 9th stage realm top experts, you no longer remember me at all. Murongda also hurriedly got up and said, President Hu, please take a seat. President Hu was actually on the same rank as Murongda's father. He was also a renowned top-tiered armament master in the South Sky region and considered to have watched Murongda and Chui Yuan Shan growing up, so he had refined quite a number of profound armaments for them then. President Hu's innate talent was limited and he had eventually stopped at the rank of 6th-tier armament master, but Murongda and Chui Yuan Shan had always been respectful towards him. This time round they invited President Hu over. On one hand it was because they wanted to have a gathering with this elder, while on the other hand, it was because the two of them had already reached an understanding regarding the ancient mystic region's matter. They needed to find a witness who enjoyed high prestige and command universal respect, so at the same point of time, they both thought of President Hu. Murongda and Chui Yuan Shan had always been on loggerheads. To be able to find someone whom both parties could both agree upon wasn't easy, so they hurriedly sent out an invite to President Hu, inviting him to join in today's banquet. After President Hu exchanged conventional greetings with the both of them, his gaze shifted and fell onto Huang Yueli and Murong Fei, who were exchanging stares below the stage. President Hu was stunned as he spoke out in astonishment. This is Murongda, following his line of vision, and his heart went thumped. He had not expected that after President Hu had created a lapse, but these two young lassies didn't take the opportunity to get off the stage. They were still in a deadlock at the same place. Murong Fei totally didn't consider the big picture. What kind of occasion was this? Throwing face in front of Green Cloud sect wasn't considered, but now was she planning to let the people in the Armament Guild see them as a laughingstock as well? Murongda's expression changed as he wanted to hurriedly chase the both of them away. But President Hu stood up and walked quickly beside Huang Yueli, as he smiled at her and greeted her first. Miss Bai, I've not expected that you've already returned to Celestial Light Sect with young Sect Master Li already. Looks like your wedding bells are ringing soon, eh? President Hu's favorable impression of Huang Yuli's wasn't just ordinary. The last time at the Armament Master Certification Assessment, Huang Yueli displayed such shocking talent in armament refining skills, which was enough to be nicknamed as South Sky Region's #1 armament refining genius. Her future accomplishments would absolutely be above him in future. You can also listen on. Furthermore, Huang Yueli didn't keep her secrets to herself. Although she has such an exclusive technique at refining armaments, but during the certification assessment, she openly displayed her skills in front of every armament master, and displayed it not only once. Even President Hu himself learned quite a number of things from Huang Yueli's armament refining skills and had reaped an enormous benefit out of it. For a generously humble, talented young lady with a bright future, President Hu had long treated her as Sky Cloud City's Armament Guild's future hope, as he admired her from the depths of his heart. Furthermore, President Hu felt that Huang Yueli and Li Moying were an extremely compatible pair. One was a peerless talent in terms of cultivation, while the other was an armament refining genius. They were just that compatible. An armament master's status was invaluable, so without Li Moying's status as young sect master, President Hu felt that he wasn't worthy of Huang Yueli. When Huang Yueli saw President Hu, her face also revealed a smile. President Hu, how have you been? President Hu said, "Last time at the Armament Master Certification Assessment, you promised me to come over to the Armament Guild. But in the end I've not seen you appearing, so I thought you were busy. In the end, you actually left with young Sect Master. TSK, you're really too sticky. Youngsters nowadays. But just as well, since the both of you are so compatible and so loving, it's a good thing for you guys to get married earlier." Huang Yueli started to become shy from his words. "President Hu, you're mistaken. Not so fast. I came to Celestial Light Sect to take a look at him only." The two of them looked extremely familiar with each other, and President Hu even started cracking jokes about Huang Yueli, so this made everyone at the scene extremely shocked. Who was President Hu? He's the #1 rated armament Grand Master in the entire South Sky region, and his fame was widespread. He had numerous disciples under his wing. Although his cultivation was absolutely not the best among the practitioners, but in terms of prestige, he was considered as a #1 figure in South Sky region, not any lower than Murongda. As for Huang Yueli, from what everyone saw, she was merely an outer disciple with an ordinary cultivation, hugging on to young Sect Master's thigh so that she could smuggle into this function. She should be some unattractive pipsqueak. Why would President Hu talk to her? Moreover, his attitude towards her seemed to carry some respect and lionization, absolutely not the attitude which an ordinary upper-class person had towards a junior. Not only that, President Hu even knew that she and Li Moying had a marriage agreement, and even thought highly of the both of them. Had President Hu gone bonkers? The both of them, one was a peerless genius while the other was an outer disciple. In which way were they compatible? Murongda was absolutely the most shocked person among the others. He started at them with his eyes wide and tongue-tied, and he couldn't help but butted in. "Who? President Hu, what's going on? You are acquainted to Miss Bai." President Hu laughed. "Of course I know her. I admire Miss Bai greatly. I haven't managed to congratulate Sect Master Murong in time. Your disciple here is really extraordinary. Initially I thought that young Sect Master Li only knows how to cultivate, so I didn't expect him to be so good at choosing a lady. Moreover, his tactics are so swift. A lady like Bai Ruoli is easily dibbled by him and already engaged at such a tender age. I can only express my utmost admiration for this action." Murongda's jaw always dropped onto the ground when he heard that. What was the situation? Why did it sound as though that Li Moying marrying this Bai Ruoli was a huge advantage? You can also listen on. Where on earth had gone wrong? Was President Hu's consciousness really awake? President Hu, what are you talking about?" Murongda had a dazed expression and was just about to open his mouth to ask in detail. President Hu seemed to have recalled something as he looked to his left and right, and he asked curiously, That's right, what are you all doing here? Isn't today's banquet supposed to make merry? Why are you all standing down below, and those that young lady over there?" President Hu pointed at Murong Fei, not knowing who she was exactly. This made Murong Fei so infuriated that she almost fainted. Originally, for a top-rated armament master like President Hu to not recognize a younger junior like her, it was something very normal and nothing strange about it. But if there were no comparisons, there wouldn't be any damage. Huang Yueli was much younger than her and her cultivation was lower than her, but yet she was able to gain such value and closeness from President Hu. Whereas for her a highly respected and valuable sect master's daughter was only referred to as that lady. Murong Fei had always had a good opinion of herself, and she felt that she was much valued than Huang Yueli, so since when had she suffered such humiliation? Huang Yueli indifferently glanced at Murong Fei and shrugged her shoulders as she replied in a disapproving look, "Actually there's nothing much. I was just about to go into a battle with this lady. If it wasn't President Hu who suddenly came in, we'd probably came out with a winner by now." President Hu was shocked when he heard that. "What? Are you going for a battle?" What are you trying to do? Although there are plenty of young people around to liven up the battle, but you, how could you take part in it? One couldn't blame President Hu for being so shocked because normal armament masters absolutely would not go into a battle with anyone under such a situation. On one hand, it was because an armament master's status was very valuable, so for livening up events with battles, they would not lower their own status to take part. On the other hand, armament masters' cultivation although might not be weak, but in most actual battles, their results were pretty bad. After all, their concentration wasn't placed on cultivation. Of course, the most important thing was an armament master's hand was priceless. Armament refining all relied on this pair of hands which could rake in money, and if they were hurt in the battle, that would be the largest loss which they couldn't afford to bear. Huang Yueli was not able to reply in time when Cui Yuanshan butted in. Master Hu, you don't know what's going on. This young lady opposite Miss Bai is Sect Master Murong's eldest daughter Murong Fei. Miss Murong bore good intentions, hoping that Miss Bai won't break the sect's regulations and be seated on the upper seat, so she specially came over to maintain the disorder. President Hu was lost in the fog. How come I don't understand what you're saying at all? Why would it be breaking the sect's regulations if Miss Bai sat in an upper seat? Cui Yuanshan laughed. President Hu, you don't know. Miss Bai's cultivation is not high and is merely an outer disciple in Celestial Light sect. In such a former occasion, the first few seats are arranged according to their potential and their status in the sect. Although Miss Bai is Mr. Li's fiancée, but surely she cannot sit here because of that, right? Miss Murong was kind-hearted enough to stop her, but in the end it seemed as though a misunderstanding had been created, hence they started arguing. Cui Yuanshan seemed to be praising Murong Fei on the surface, but in reality every single word was filled with ridicule, in an attempt to anger President Hu. He was such an intelligent man. He had long seen through the fact that President Hu had treated Huang Yueli differently. Although he didn't know why he was so respectful to such a young lass, but Cui Yuanshan knew one thing at least, which was if Huang Yueli was bullied, President Hu would definitely get angry. You can also listen on. President Hu was the witness whom he and Murongdo invited over to be the judge, so if Murongdo were to offend President Hu, perhaps today President Hu would be more biased and lean towards Green Cloud's sect's side. Cui Yuanshan's brain was working fast as he immediately grabbed the chance before Murongdo to speak out. When Murongdo heard that, he immediately felt something was amiss. But the things which Cui Yuanshan said wasn't a lie, and in fact it was really truthful, so momentarily he didn't know how to explain as well. However, his hesitation for that one moment was already too late. President Hu's eyes bulged out as he blew his beard, throwing a huge temper. Sect Master Murong, is what Sect Master Cui said all true? Murong Fei hurriedly replied, Miss Bai indeed didn't have the qualification to take a seat in the upper seats, but, President Hu totally didn't hear his, but, as he had already blown his top on hearing the first half of the sentence. He totally couldn't suppress his temper. Sect Master Murong, I really don't understand your sect's regulations, but why doesn't Miss Bai have the qualifications to sit in the upper seats? A 14-year-old obtaining a first-tier armament master certification, and her actual ability was enough to obtain a third-tier and above certification armament refining genius, so it's so invaluable. Can I think that you're despising and humiliating our armament guild? President Hu was angry for a reason. It wasn't just for Huang Yueli alone but for the entire armament guild. An armament master's status was highly respectable, especially for the young and talented armament refining genius. Their statuses were highly valuable in many large powerhouses. For this kind of function, a young armament master's seat would normally be much higher than same-aged genius practitioners because armament refining talents were much rarer than cultivation talents. There was no need to say that for a super genius like Huang Yueli, there probably wasn't a second one in the entire Soaring Heavens continent. Just what kind of outstanding existence was this? Celestial Light sect was just a large sect in the South Sky region and not even in place within Sky Emperor City, and they actually dared to allow this kind of genius to sit at the last seat. Any armament master who saw this would not be able to endure it all right. Muronda had not expected the usually gentle President Hu to suddenly flare up as he was momentarily shocked. After he heard President Hu's words clearly, he was even more shocked as he totally couldn't recover his senses. This. President Hu, are you sure you didn't get it wrong? This Miss Bai is a certified armament master. How could this be possible? Hearing Li Moying's fiancé was only 14 or 15 years old, such a young certified armament master had not appeared within the South Sky region before. President Hu angrily retorted, "Could I be lying to you? Miss Bai was awarded as a first-tier armament master by me personally when I presided over that certification assessment. Moreover, she displayed shocking armament refining talent during the assessment. With her potential, obtaining a 3rd or 4th tier certification isn't a problem at all. According to the Armament Guild's regulations, armament masters of 2nd tier and above needs to be certified at the guild, otherwise, I will already have issued her with a 3rd tier badge." 3rd tier. Muronda felt that his tongue was going stiff as he couldn't even speak properly. Was he having a problem with his hearing? A 14-year-old 3rd tier armament master, how could this be possible? This wasn't something which could be described with a mere armament refining genius. Generally, those armament masters who could reach 3rd tier before the age of 25 were all considered to have a boundless future. They would at least reach a level of 6th tier and above high-leveled armament Grand Master. You can also listen on. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.